Welcome. I'm Greg Swob with Midwest Energy Analyst and Account Manager. This is another one of our presentations on energy conservation. Today we're talking about windows, or as I like to call it, I can see clearly now, window truths. As I said, I'm Greg Swob, Energy Analyst and Account Manager. If you have any questions about energy conservation, or you want to have a topic that we haven't discussed yet on one of these presentations, feel free to contact me, 1-800-222-3121, or my desk at 785-625-1459. You can also email me, gswob@mwenergy.com. What to do about my windows? That's a question we hear quite often. I hope at the end of this presentation, when we're done, we will understand that there's a lot of choices out there, a lot of decisions to be made, and some may be very simple. When it comes to windows, maybe the first option to look at would be window repairs. If you've been involved in one of our House Smart programs or energy audits, you probably received a diagram, a do-it-yourself repair on windows. And we talked in that diagram about how to seal perimeter leaks around the window trim, casing trim, and so forth. If you have an antique window that has the old-fashioned pulley and counterweight mechanisms, there are some devices available to seal that little pulley, which is a huge air leak on those old windows. And storm windows. A recent development in storm windows, fall of 2012, are low E coated glass storm windows. They're very low cost for the service they provide. We think that may be a good option for those homes that are missing storm windows or need to replace or repair those. Window air leaks is one of the very first things talked about during an energy audit. It's a very hot topic, as a matter of fact. Well, to really find those leaks, it may require some inspection, and some of that inspection could be trim removal. We're going to look at some examples later on about some window trim that has been removed and see what's underneath a lot of those hidden areas. Sometimes an infrared camera combined with a blower door may be necessary. This is done on all of our House Smart inspections and also done at a cost for our customers who desire to have that sort of service performed. A do-it-yourselfer can just simply use smoke or incense or a cigarette or some other device that produces smoke on a windy day to look for some visual signs of leakage and locate those leaks. Materials to repair windows, virtually any house has them probably. Basic hand tools, clear paintable caulking, minimal expanding foam. We're going to talk more about that product here in a moment. If you have the old-fashioned windows that have the pulleys and counterweights, there are plastic seals available that seal right on around that pulley and still let that weight slide up and down to work just like it used to. And weather stripping. Here's that part of that diagram of window repairs. And basically what we're talking about is use a clear paintable caulking wherever the casing trim of the window meets the wall, where the trim meets the window frame, where the jamb meets the window apron sill, and that apron sill meets the wall. Basically anywhere that there's a framework connection probably needs to be sealed. Underneath the sash itself, simple, inexpensive weather stripping goes a long way to sealing those sort of leaks. So you can see maybe $5 worth of repairs can fix a lot of window problems with the right knowledge. Storm windows, well, they can be a very good economic fit, especially as we mentioned a moment ago with the new low E coating. We'll talk briefly about low E. It is a metallic coating on the inside pane of glass, and now they're putting this coating on storm windows. What this coating does is help reflect ultraviolet light, which brings heat from the sun into our homes. Now, as you can see in this picture, they're not a one-size-fits-all thing. Storm windows need to be ordered or built for that exact size of window. But the payback can be phenomenal. For the energy saved on just adding a storm window to a window that's missing one, we could see easily a 4 or 5 year payback, maybe even less. Now, as I mentioned earlier, you may need to remove trim. That's pretty extensive, but this particular home is undergoing a major remodeling, and the trim was removed around this window. As you can see, there is no ceiling, no insulation, or anything around the perimeter of this window. This window leaked a lot around the window, not necessarily through the window itself. Another window in this same home, someone had bothered to stuff fiberglass around that rough opening. And I call that stuffing fiberglass in vain because I think we all know that fiberglass doesn't do anything to seal air leakage. If anything, it might help filter the soil from the air as it leaks into the house. Now we have a wonderful plethora of products out there called expanding foams. But if you use any expanding foam product to seal a window or a door, you want to make certain it's minimal expanding foam, and we're going to talk about those here in just a moment. The regular expanding foam may have a tendency to expand too much, and cause buckling or damage to the frame, or maybe make that window or even your door not open or close any longer, and it can be quite a chore to remove it. Small gaps and openings within the window frame itself maybe just need to have a little caulking. Just a good long life caulking applied to those areas is all that's necessary. There are caulkings today that have lifetime warranties, 50-year, 35-year, 25-year. It's a very inexpensive piece of insurance against air leakage. A little bit more on the diagram we saw earlier. This was from the study of an engineer named Keith Haberman from Utah. The state of Utah was doing extensive weatherization on some of their historic buildings and low-income housing projects. And they wanted someone to determine, are replacement windows really worth their cost? And Keith did a very simple set of mathematics and gave us a nice diagram to work from. The left-hand panel shows a typical replacement of a single pane window with a normal double pane thermal replacement window. With or without a low E coating, these do save some energy. In this particular case, you're looking at a whopping 600,000 plus BTUs of heat. Now, again, this is Utah, and I believe their winters may be similar to ours. At gas prices at that time, which was about $1.09 a therm, natural gas that is, we're looking at maybe $11 a year savings from that window. About a 40-year plus payback on a $500 window installation. Now, if we replace that same single pane wooden framed window with a low E double pane glass window, we have an increased cost and we save a whopping 900,000 BTUs of energy per year, but at natural gas costs at the time of this report, we're talking about a $16 savings, maybe a 34 plus year payback for that particular window. And if we look at replacing a low E window, double pane replacement of a window that already had a good quality storm window on it, we could be looking at a 2-century plus payback period of time at the energy savings. But are there some good reasons to replace windows? Absolutely. Maintenance. New windows usually require no painting and very, very easy to clean. They operate, they open and close very smoothly. Your old windows, the mechanisms may be worn out or inoperable. Maybe they're painted shut and don't open to let air in if you need. Egress. If the house is on fire and you need to get out of that room in a hurry, maybe that window doesn't open quickly or safely or properly enough to let you in and out. New windows usually solve that problem. Curb appeal. New windows can really improve the value and the looks of a home from the street. Low E coatings are getting to be pretty standard on most replacement windows these days. This is a metallic coating that reflects a lot of the ultraviolet light back from the sunlight, and that can help keep furniture and carpeting and other draperies and so forth from being damaged by the ultraviolet lights. Now, the question again is air leaks. Do new windows solve air leaks? Here's a great example of dust at the sash of a brand new window replacement. Obviously, with the dust leaking in, this window has a weakness. Most windows that are single hung or double hung, meaning they have a sash that slides up or down, have a weak joint at the framework. And many of them will leak like crazy. And this one, being in the country where it was, showed some dirt coming in the sash. So do they reduce window leakage? Perhaps. But air leakage can still come in through brand new, high-tech, high-valued windows. Caulking is often the only thing that's necessary to help seal air leakage on a window, as we mentioned earlier. This particular shot shows an infrared view of cold air leaking in around a window. Right in the middle of this frame, we see a streak of cold air across the wall. That's not the window leaking air, that's the trim around that window and the wall. Cold air is washing against that wall. These sort of things are discovered during a blower door test as part of our energy audits often in a house. And all that needs to be done there, some clear paintable caulking where that trim meets the wall, will usually take care of a lot of those air leaks. But if you're certain you want to shop for new windows for all the reasons necessary, there are a lot of things you want to look for. Local service. Windows are an expensive investment. You want to make sure you get good warranties. They may need future service, especially if they're a crank-out casement type window. Those mechanisms do wear and tear, especially with our Kansas winds. Maintenance. Most windows today are available with low maintenance or no maintenance materials from the framework or maybe even cladding. They may be aluminum clad metal or wooden framework that the aluminum has been painted or a baked on type paint material that will last a long, long time and never need to be repaired again or painted again. Easy to clean. You can probably put that ladder away now. Most replacement windows today are easy to open up from the inside and clean both the interior and exterior panes. The big question about window replacement is, do I install inserts or full frame replacement? Well, inserts, as we're going to look at in a moment, they can leave all those perimeter air leaks around the trim, the casing and apron and stool trim areas, those air leakages, they may leave those leaks behind. Full frame replacements are really the best way to make sure, coupled with some minimal expanding foam, to make certain that you minimize and reduce air leakage or reduce them completely. Another thing to look for is the Energy Star label. All windows today have got an Energy Star rating on them. There's a brand new rating, which is the air leakage. That's only come about within the year 2012. Not all windows yet comply and have that particular rating on them, but soon it will be standard. The first item mentioned on the label is U factor. U factor is the inverse of R value. R value we're familiar with is insulation or resistance to heat flow. Well, the U factor is the amount of heat flow that an object experiences. The lower that U factor rating, the better insulating that window is. The next item is a solar heat gain coefficient. This is the amount of heat from the sunshine that comes in that window that enters the room. The lower that number, the better that window is performance for you. Visible transmissions talks about basically how easy it is to see through that window, how clear it is, and so on. The air leakage is the final rating. This is a fairly new item as of 2012, as I mentioned. Not all window labels will have that yet, but sooner or later they all will. That's a great number to look at. That's your air leakage around the framework itself of the window, a very important factor. As we mentioned, options to consider, U value. The lower the U value, the less heat flows through that glass. Solar heat gain coefficient, again, the lower that value, the less heat transfers through that glass from ultraviolet light. Visible transmittance, the higher that number is, the more clear that window is to see through. Frame air leakage rating, that's going to be a very important number in shopping for windows. Coatings such as low E, the low emissivity coating, they can reduce damage from the sunlight on carpeting and furniture and so forth. That's pretty standard anymore. It would be hard to find a new window without that particular item included in it. The window frames, they may be composites, some type of fiberglass material, vinyls, clad wood, or other products available. We've got a variety of items out there available these days. Again, low maintenance, maybe no maintenance. Impact resistance. If you live in a hurricane-prone area, unfortunately we don't have that problem here in Kansas, but there are glass windows that can withstand a great deal of impact. There's going to be an upcharge, but that's a reinforced glass that could be a good item to have. Low E storm windows are now available, as we mentioned earlier, versus total replacements of windows. That may be a very good place to start shopping. Or, as we mentioned earlier, rehabilitation and repair. That may be all your windows need. Often we're asked, what are the best windows to replace on my house? And I usually say, maybe the windows you already have with a little bit of rehabilitation. We mentioned window replacements. This is an example of a window insert. The difference between this and a full replacement, full frame replacement type window is there's no flange to nail this window onto the framework. In replacing one of these windows, your sashes are removed. Before that, of course, it's carefully measured so the right size has been ordered. But the sashes are removed. This window is inserted into the opening and then caulked in place. The exterior part of this window has got a metal wrapping over the wood framework. The material on here should probably never need painting during the entire life of this window. And the same thing with the framework. It's a metal wrapped framework of wooden frame that will need no maintenance for a long, long time. We talked earlier about using minimal expanding foam around window openings and such. There are a couple of varieties of foam. We want to make sure we steer you the right direction. This is standard expanding foam. It's very rigid and durable. It's called a closed cell foam, meaning obviously air won't travel through it, but neither will water very easily. The problem is with this foam is if you use it around door or window openings, it expands so powerfully it may buckle the frame of that door or window so it doesn't open any longer. That takes us to another variety called minimal expanding polyurethane sealant or foam. And these type are designed to stay soft and supple throughout their life. We have a good example. This is a very pliable type of foam here. This is a minimal expanding foam. This one is not. It's rigid. It takes quite a bit to squeeze it. So you can see the difference in these two products. You want to make sure you use the right one on doors and windows. We don't ever want to recommend any one particular brand, but I can tell you some experimenting we've done on our own homes. We do like the Great Stuff products, but again, around doors and windows, make certain you're using minimal expanding type foam. So we hope now you can see clearly when it comes to windows. Again, I'm Greg Swob, Energy Analyst and Account Manager with Midwest Energy. You can reach me at 785-625-1459 or gswob@mwenergy.com. Thank you, and please come again.